Hi, this is Marianne Kay from My Mystic Gems, and I create magical items for everyday life. My handcrafted items include wire-wrapped crystals and gemstones, beautiful bullets, which is part of my Peace project, steampunk jewelry and cosplay accessories, and retro and vintage items. I can do custom designs for birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, weddings, and costume affairs. Please visit my website at mymysticgems.com and also my Etsy website at mymysticgems.etsy.com.
Thank you for tuning in to Pagan World TV. Welcome to the Gayle, Tracey, Mull Show with Gayle, Tracey, Mull. Gayle is a catalyst for change. She can help you create the life that you dream of living. Gayle walks the path of the wounded healer. She is a psychic reader and life coach, as well as a Reiki master in 2 traditions. She has a long and varied background in the mystical, the magical, and the metaphysical. Please welcome your host, Gayle Tracey Mull.
So I had to teach myself. And as a young adult, young mother, the very first thing I learned was cards. And I did that because as a child I knew things, but the adult you says, "Oh no, you don't really," and you've got to learn how to trust that. I have come to realize that without my sense of knowing, I would truly feel blind. I really would. I just know things about what's going on with you as a person. I start with you where you're at now. But cards were the very, very, very first thing that I ever learned on this path. I learned the tarot. I taught myself. I had a good friend who showed them to me. I didn't even know where to buy tarot cards, people. That was back in the day that was a very hard thing to find. Sorry if that dates me. So know that you can get readings with me, and you can also, we may do some readings live and online here. So hopefully eventually we'll get to where we do some call-in shows, and you can call in and get a reading from me or whoever is with me that day. That's a little bit about how I grew up. Texas was not the easy breezy place to be. And sorry, this is new for me. um, learning to trust yourself, learning to trust your path, uh, learning to accept that you're a little bit different and you march to the beat of a different drummer. It's sort of difficult for me. And I think it's difficult for a lot of people because you feel so alone. You feel like you don't fit in. And I was always that way as a child and a young adult and a young woman. I really struggled with that a lot. And I think a lot of other people struggle with it as well. Uh, the people that I work with often are trying to figure out what's next for them, what's best for them. They're creating the best life, not just any life, but their best life. And I really hope that this show can help you do that, that it can plant the seeds of information about several different things. And even if it's something that you don't need right now, if it's something that, and I have been telling you a little bit about myself because this is my first show. And, I was telling you guys about the fact that one of the very first things I started to do was read cards. And I had a friend, me, she was an interesting friend. All of my friends are different, okay? And they're different in a good way. But that's one of the things that's helped me the most is that my friends, they make me not feel alone. And it took until I was an older person to really start to make friends, and to find my tribe. And I'm really excited about sharing all of this with you guys because you guys are my tribe. And my friend base is expanding because I'm meeting all of you. And I'm hoping that a lot of people go back and watch this show eventually and go, oh my God, I get that. Uh, I'm one of those people that I either connect with people or I don't. And that's okay. But I'm hope that I'm connecting with you right now. So, as a young woman, I decided to read cards, and I had always um, been interested in the metaphysical, magical, the mystical, the mythology. But whenever she taught me how to read cards, um, it was love. And it was a tool for me to sharpen my intuition. And then we moved away, and I didn't even know where to buy cards. That was back in the day that, there wasn't necessarily a metaphysical or a magical section at your local Barnes and Nobles, Books a Million kind of thing. And I was a young woman. I had two small children, have two daughters, and I will say right now that I have the absolute best, most wonderful in the world, and you will hear more about them, I'm sure. I'm very proud of both of them, and I even get a bonus daughter and a wonderful son-in-law. So shout out to my family and my wonderful husband, Stephen, and you will hear about all of them as we talk and get to know each other. Not today, but eventually. So anyway, whenever I was a young woman and I started learning how to read cards, people would come to me eventually. I did many, many free readings, people. Don't think I haven't done my time with that. And people would come to me and they would go, but Miss Gayle, yeah, they call me Miss Gayle, they do. they would say to me, okay, I did that. Now what? Because, I don't tell people what to do, and I tell them the things that are more said about their future and the things that they can change. And some things are more changeable than others. I read in a very present moment way and your immediate future, because I'm telling you, people, right now is the time that you can change. You can't change your past and you can't change your future. You can change your now. So that's what we work on whenever I do readings with people. But they would come to me and they would ask me, what now? Or they would fall into the same rut and the same pattern. And, I always resisted that healer wellness kind of mode. But I came to understand that the people that would come for readings, as I got better and better and more people came, um, that they needed healing, because you have to be balanced. You can't just give them knowledge and not, if their physical body is hurting, or their mental body, or their emotional body is in pain or not working correctly, um, then they're not going to work correctly. So that sent me over into searching for Reiki. I love Reiki. I'm a master in two traditions, but whenever I started out, I wanted my Reiki attunement. I didn't know much about Reiki, and there was a local rock shop. I went to it, and she taught classes, but for that day, I don't know why, she just set me down in Reiki attunement. I would never recommend that to anybody. Um, you need the class that goes with Reiki. Okay, people? You really do. And you don't need to do them all at once. Do Reiki 1, learn it, incorporate it. After a year or so, do Reiki 2, learn it, incorporate it. Then, if you want to go on to your master's level, do that. But she just set me down and attuned me. And at the time, my husband was bipolar. And I had always naturally balanced his energy by laying my hands on him. Well, you can't Reiki somebody who is unwilling. And so it was very hard, because I could no longer lay my hands on him and balance him out. And I really didn't know what to do with all this new energy I had. So eventually I went on and I found other people, and I redid my Reiki 1 attunement, and I did all of the attunements. I have a wonderful Reiki master and friend that I work with named Julie Rainwater. Shout out to her. I hope she's listening tonight. And Master Son is wonderful. That's my nickname for her. But Reiki is one of the things I teach. It's one of the things I do. And it has been one of the biggest blessings in my life. Reiki is the canister, the container that all my different practices go in. And we will talk some more about how I really got started on the path of working with people. And we were talking about how I wound up, transitioning from cards and just being a private person to actually working with people and doing all of the things and learning all of the things, and then how I'm sitting here talking to you on a TV show. You know, that's a lot to get through. But one of the things that did it was I did sales for a very long time. I did outside sales. If you've ever done sales, there's a lot of windshield time, and you eat at weird times in between appointments. So one day I was sitting in a restaurant, and there's two groups of women. And this group of women over here, can't see my hand, this group of women over here was talking about whenever their kids would be back from college and when they were going to have grandkids. This other group of women over here was sitting and talking about softball practice and basketball practice and whenever spring break would be and all of this. And I'm thinking, did nobody read a book? Has nobody went to a movie? If I was sitting around, am I going to be one of those people sitting waiting for my kids to have kids? I'm telling you, people, I would have waited a long, long time. My daughter had my first granddaughter at 35. She adopted a boy like 5 years before that, but she was 30 then. And the youngest daughter still hasn't had kids, although they want to. So if I had my life on hold, waiting vicariously for them to do those things, oh my God. I'm like, no, I can't do that. And you got to understand, at this time, I was a very stressed out person. Like I said, I had a bipolar husband. And if any of you have ever been there or are there, I am so sorry. I know what it's like. I lived with him for 28 years until we divorced. I'm really happily divorced, but I know what it is to love somebody with that issue, okay? But it is extremely stressful. And I worked all sorts of hours. And so before I got the Reiki attunements, I got a little bit out of order. Um, I hurt all the time. My neck right here. I was constantly begging my kids, anybody, to rub my neck. And so after I heard this conversation with these two groups of women, I'm like, you got to find a life. You got to figure out how to make some friends. You got to do something else and sit around and wait to live your life through other people. So I was looking for different groups, different things to do, and I found a meditation group. Oh my God. It was the most relaxing thing that I had done to date. Going and spending an hour with a group of women who taught me how to meditate. And I actually felt the absence of the pain for a little while. And it would last me a whole week until the next meditation group. So, if you're new to this path, if you're new to doing a more holistic, spiritual, metaphysical approach to your life, meditation. And I know people say, oh, I don't have time. I don't know how. I don't this and that. Find a meditation group. It's easier if you're in a group. If you can't do that, there are meditation apps. I personally use one called Insight Timer. There's a tool. And I absolutely, totally, and completely love it. And you actually meditate with other people. It's got a lot of really neat features on it. So that was a wondrous step in in my journey. Is learning how to meditate. And after that, I actually found a Native American journey group. My friend Julie Rainwater taught that. And it was sort of a step in going beyond meditation. And whenever I learned that she did Reiki, I started taking my Reiki attunements with her. And I wound up at an office called Living Well, something that we did together. And it was really wondrous. And as I learned more about meditation, as I learned more about um, Reiki, And as I got more of the Reiki attunements and as I had more treatment, I actually began to lose a lot of my chronic pain because this is the only thing that hurt. My whole body hurt. Um, and I came to find out that not all of that is physical. A lot of it is emotional. It's the emotions we store in our bodies. And whenever you live with a bipolar person, I guarantee you, you store emotion. Whenever you live with somebody who is critically ill, whenever you just have a modern life and you're trying to do 10 things all at once in an hour, you store emotions in your body, people. So, meditation, Reiki, these are two absolutely wonderful tools. They're tools that I use myself. And there's nothing to meditation. There are other energy healing modalities other than Reiki, but it's one that has worked tremendously for me. And like I said, it's the container in which I put the other practices that I do. Um, I had been to, we have a local metaphysical study group that, once again, my friend Julie runs. She does a lot of things in my life. Um, and, I had heard about EFT, and, you know, if you don't know what that is, it's emotional freedom technique. Ever heard the people talk about tapping? That's what tapping is. And, you see the people and they go around and they're tapping. Yeah. Um, I don't know if you know about that. If not, Google after this, but we're going to talk about it a little bit now. Um, so, I never did really get it whenever I was first exposed to it. And then I had went Spring Summit in Hot Springs, and it's a bunch of different holistic practitioners that would come together and teach different classes, and we would all trade and learn things. And I met this wonderful little purple-haired lady. She's an older lady. Her name was Meryl Beck. She's actually a psychologist, I believe, and she had written the book Stop Eating Your Heart Out. She had also written a book on grief and loss because she lost her son to suicide. And she had did a talk about source tapping, which was her brand of tapping, of EFT. And I really hit it off with her, and I wound up becoming one of the very few people that she certified in source tapping before she died. And actually, we're probably going to do a show about Meryl later on this year and talking about EFT and source tapping. It, um, Whenever I met her at the Spring Summit, it was just one of those things that it was the right teacher at the right time. They say whenever you're ready, the teacher will appear. Meryl appeared. And her form of EFT or source tapping is different because it actually brings in God, goddess, source, however you want to think of your higher power, in to help you with your healing, which is also what you do with Reiki. Right? Reiki is life energy. So these two things married very well for me. And through the course, Meryl, I learned about how people store emotions in their body. There is actually a study, it's called an ACE study. I forget whenever it was conducted. It actually started out as a research study for a PPO organization. Um, they had been helping people lose weight. And they were really doing really well with it. But the researcher noticed that some people were quitting. And, they'd start to have results and then they quit. And he was doing exit interviews and he realized that one of the women who had quit um, had been abused as a child. And he got to thinking about it and he thought, I wonder if there's a connection. And he created a study. It's called an ACE study. And it is a test. There's actually an ACE test you can take. Once again, Google is all. And basically, the questions on this test are the more emotional trauma that you had as a child, the more likely you are to have disease and illness whenever you become an adult. And the traumas are things like losing a parent or losing a grandparent, somebody close to you as a child. Um, it is being abused or seeing abuse, uh, physical, emotional, sexual, um, being the victim of a violent crime. All of these things increase the likelihood of cancer, obesity, all sorts of diseases. And like I said, this is real medical science, people. The more of those you have, the more that you are likely to have these issues in adult life. Well, now then, backtracking to the source tapping, um, the reason source tapping is so effective is it helps you release those emotions. We actually go through and release fear, pain, um, anxiety, anger, all the emotions around things, shame, embarrassment. It's just amazing the amount of emotions that we release with tapping. And tapping was considered to be sort of woo woo whenever it started. I'm sure you've heard that term. And it really isn't. They're actually doing tapping in for veterans now. They're finding it a lot better than traditional talk therapy, or at least combined talk therapy. But it actually releases the emotions that are trapped within your body. Now, then, in my own private practice, I have linked that with the Reiki and the other intuitive things that I do. And often, if you have pain somewhere stored in you and you've tried all the things, you've been to pain management and you've taken the pills and you did the PT and all of the different things, sometimes I can help you by doing chronic pain release. And I just blessed the day that I met Meryl. I'm not trying to give you an infomercial. I'm trying to tell you all of the things that I have learned along my path and all of the wonderful, wonderful people I have met. Because I know a lot of people out there are struggling with their spirituality. And I really honestly think spirituality and the things that I do, the holistic things are very linked for me. They're they walk alongside each other. Reiki and all of the things in and of themselves are not a religion, but they work alongside your spiritual practice, whatever spiritual practice may be. And I am by no means downing anybody's religion, spirituality practice. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my journey with it. And I do this, it's sort of hard actually. I grew up in Texas where being different was sort of bad. Um, and, you know, I think a lot of people out there struggle with what we're taught in North America and what we expect in North America and what really fuels us. I know that I always did. I grew up in the panhandle of Texas. There is open warfare between Baptist and Church of Christ. Um, I went to a very Baptist church with my mama. Yes, I had a mama. Love her. And, I came from a family that allowed me to choose if I wanted to be baptized or not. And so they have the big revivals, and they would do all of the things. And the other little kids would go up. And I mean, I would be sitting there on the bench and I would be wanting to find it in my heart. And the whole, the whole thing just did not resonate with me. They talked too much about Jesus, excuse me, and not enough about God. And I know that for Christians it's the same thing, but for me it wasn't. And I just didn't resonate with going up there and being baptized. And so, coming from the family I did, I had this seeking for religion and spirituality. And as my kids were growing up, I knew that this was important. And we would go to different churches. And my oldest daughter will remember this. She's probably laughing right now because she knows what I'm going to say. We would find a church and we would go, and we would truly enjoy the church. And then they would ask me to join, and we would not go back. I was not a joiner of churches. And the very last church that we attended, let's just say I found out that there was some very unsavory things going on within the churches. And I'm like, nope, done with that. Done with that. I don't know what we are, but we're not going back to just a regular old church again. Done. And so at the time, I worked with a Pentecostal evangelist, and we became very good friends. We worked together for nearly 5 years. And I do not think that he knew that I had this struggle. A lot of the struggle was with faith, trying to figure out how to have faith in that higher power and what I believed in. And one day he and I had this discussion, and I told him that every blade of grass, every dog, the murderer on death row, all of it part of and piece of God. And he looked at me and he said, that is not a Christian concept. And this little bell went off, ding, 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 ding. And it's like, okay, you just need to give up on the Christian concepts, because I had always believed that. I had always known that. Um, so I follow a more earth-based spirituality. And whenever I got to looking at that, my mind was blown, because they're like, pick a pantheon. A pantheon? What do you mean? There's only one God. I grew up with a one God concept. So, I went back and I read Greek philosophers, and I read so many different things during that time. And I really struggled to wrap my head around it. But once I gave up having to be what I was raised with and just went with where my heart was, I started down this path of spirituality. And now I am currently a ULC minister. And people ask me all the time, well, what denomination is that? And I tell them it's all of them. I am an all denominational minister. That's how I look at it. Because I really and truly respect anybody that walks their walk and talks their talk and lives um, their spirituality, their religion, whatever it may be. And one of the things that I endeavor to with all of you is I endeavor to walk my walk and talk my talk. I endeavor to show you about faith and about the divine. And I will be honest, I feel very connected. This show is something that I have manifested for years. The people who know me will tell you this, that I have worked for years. I wanted this for years. And sometimes, whenever you finally get out of your own way, it just shows up. Whenever you release your own fears, it shows up, people. I do a lot of work with manifesting. And actually, I wanted to tell you some of the things I have planned that are coming up. Um, Next week, we are going to have Mr. Burke Harbin, who is the leader of Woden's Folk here in Texas, which is the biggest heathen pagan organization. If I'm mutilating that, Burke, I'm so sorry. Um, and they have books out. He has done some amazing research, and they actually have a book that is comparable to AA, but it is for pagans. Now, isn't that interesting considering what we were just talking about? I am not part of Woden's Folk particularly, but I do have part of my family that is. My daughters that are in New Mexico follow that particular type of path. Um, my nephew does. And I really appreciate a lot of things out of it. And I borrow a lot of things from it, like the runic staves. And I actually read runes as well as cards, by the way. Um, and I've been learning about runic staves because, get this, people, you never stop learning. If you stop learning, then you're dead. That's how I feel about it. I've told my kids, if I tell you that I don't want to learn anything else, you better start digging the hole. So I hope all of you that are out there listening to me feel the same way, because we're going to learn a lot of things as we go through this whole show together, hopefully for a very long time. Hopefully you will start to write into me and tell me different things that you would like to have. I'm hopefully going to get a Patreon account set up. There will be a link to contacting me on the YouTube box, or there's one on my homepage with Bold Brave TV. And it's got all my links, how you can book appointments, my website, my TikTok, all of those things. But we're going to have Burke Harbin. And on down the line from that, we're going to have my astrologer friend, Mary Dodd, come on. I'm hoping, and she is just, oh my God, the things that she can tell you about what's going on in the world right now, crazy, but we got a crazy world. So there you go. And all of them are amazing. All of them are. We will have Julie on. Me and her can talk about so many different things. She's the Reiki master I told you about and teacher. We're going to learn about a lot of different things together. And like I said, I love it whenever you guys comment. I will be looking for them. I want to know what you think. I want to know what you want to learn about. And if it's something in my realm of possibility to do, I will be happy to investigate it. Or we're actually looking for people to come on and be guests on the show as well for some of our discussions. This is the Gayle Tracey Show, and we are coming to you from the heart of East Texas. I'm Gayle Tracey Mull, and I'm telling you, blessed be for the night. Bye until next time, people.
Thank you for watching the Gayle Tracey Mull Show with Gayle Tracey Mull. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a like and comment and subscribe. Tune in next time on Pagan World TV.